Supply chain. Supply chain consists of all parties involved, directly or indirectly, in the procurement of a product or raw material. Supply chain management involves the management of information flows between and among stages in the supply chain to maximize total supply chain effectiveness and profitability. Supply chain fundamentals. The supply chain has three main links. Materials flow from suppliers and their upstream suppliers at all levels, transformation of materials into semi-finished and finished products, the organization's own production processes, and the distribution of products to customers and their downstream customers at all levels.
The factors driving supply chain management are visibility, consumer behavior, speed, and competition. Supply chain visibility is the ability to view all areas up and down the supply chain.
Companies' ability to compete has been increased by the use of two main softwares: supply chain planning software and supply chain execution software. Supply chain planning software uses mathematical algorithms to improve the flow and efficiency of the supply chain while reducing the inventory. Supply chain execution software automates the different steps and stages of the supply chain. The use of these software saves a lot of time and allows smooth flow of information from suppliers to manufacturers, distributors, retailers, and eventually to the customers. Similarly, payment flow from customers through retailers, distributors, manufacturers, and eventually to the suppliers are also made easier by the use of these softwares.
There are 7 principles of the supply chain management. 1. Segment customers by service needed regardless of industry, and then tailor the services to those particular segments. 2. Customize the logistics network and focus intensively on the service requirements and on the profitability of the pre-identified customer segments. 3. Listen to the signals of market demand and plan accordingly. 4. Differentiate products closer to the customer, since companies can no longer afford to hold inventory to compensate for poor demand forecasting. 5. Strategically manage sources of supply by working with key suppliers to reduce overall costs of owning materials and services. 6. Develop a supply chain information technology strategy that supports different levels of decision making and provide a clear view of all flow of products, services, and information. 7. Adopt performance evaluation measures that apply to every link in the supply chain and measure true profitability at every stage.
Effective and efficient supply chain management systems can enable an organization to decrease buyer power, threat of substitute products or services, threat of new entrants, as well as increase supplier power.
Dell, for example, is a company which many people have talked about. What they did was they reviewed the PC market and recognized that, well, actually people wanted to, at that time, to configure their computers, configure it to order. So they designed a supply chain that enabled them to configure a product to order in a very short lead time. It enabled them to really carry very low stocks of raw material and then be able to move the finished goods through to the customer through a direct channel within about a week or so. And that was key success in that market, and therefore nobody else at the time was doing that. Everybody else used retail outlets. What they were able to do by thinking about this differently was to say, well, actually, what does the customer really want? They want to be able to configure their PC we'll design a supply chain that will enable that, but also what we'll then design the supply chain to do is that their PC is made purposely for them and then delivered directly to them. That way we cut out all the retailers and if you like, some of the inefficiencies in that channel, which enabled them to be able to do this at a much lower cost, but also increase the amount of value in that transaction.